And we're live. At least that's what it says.
Is that
All right. Adam, you want to start?
Sure. Hello. Welcome to cooking, Copycat Cooking Saturday night. We have some cool stuff going on tonight. We're going to make a lot of, tonight the theme is ratio cooking. That's what we're going to learn. That's a subtext for cooking this cool meal. Josh, tell us about these bowls in the park a little bit, because what is it about?
These bowls in the park, these are some of the most popular dishes that you can get over in Animal Kingdom in Pandora, the world of Avatar. The restaurant is Satuli Canteen. And what's really great about these are they are very customizable whenever you go there. And so as we're going to learn tonight, you can really make these easily at home and customize them yourself. So, you know, I know Adam put on the thing, if you want to do like lo mein, it's really easy to do lo mein. You can add that in there. You can do the rice. We're actually going to do a brown rice with ours tonight instead of the basmati rice. And then, of course, you know, mixing it up with the proteins. We're going to use shrimp, but you can do chicken. You could do pork. You could do beef. The possibilities are really endless with this. And so it's a great dish from Disney, and hopefully, you know, you'll have something to kind of bring back home with you as you kind of make this along with us tonight. So I'm super excited. It's going to be really good. And I'm hungry. So
Me too.
Good. All right. So let's get cooking like 100%, man. Like what it is 100% something that is movable. You can twist and turn a protein bowl any direction you want. Now, in the food industry, in the last 3 years, this has become like a major dish, and restaurants are opening just with protein bowls because, you know, the minute you see a major chain like a KFC or a Taco Bell or a chain like that create something like a protein bowl, you know it's crossed into society so heavy duty that they're going to market it. So, and why? Because it works, you know. So what we're going to do is, you know, show you the variations, and then I'm going to go with some copycat recipes. But tonight, what I started saying is about ratios. What does that mean in cooking? Well, it means this. A pound cake. Anybody know what a pound cake, why it's called a pound cake? Because it's a pound of sugar, a pound of butter, a pound of flour, pound cake. It's a ratio. And the same goes with tonight when we're making dressings. I'm going to show you how to make a vinaigrette. A vinaigrette is 3 parts oil to 2 parts to 1 part acid, and then about 1.5 to 2 parts of the flavoring that's going in there. So after tonight, you want to make a raspberry vinaigrette, strawberry vinaigrette, a blueberry vinaigrette, any other kind of like single vegetable vinaigrette, you can easily do it because you understand the ratio behind cooking. And that's kind of what I'm kind of trying to preach a little bit tonight. There's a great book out there called Ratio Cooking by a guy named Michael Rulin, and he explains how so many dishes. The other ratio tonight that we're going to use is rice, cooking rice. So we're going to cook basmati rice. It's a ratio. It's 1 part of rice to 1.5 parts of water. So that essentially means that for every cup of rice, you can use a cup of half water. That's the ratio for basmati rice. But the ratio for brown rice is different. Depending upon the rice, usually that's like a 2-part ratio. 1 part rice to 2 parts water, and on and on and on. And once you learn these ratios, like you could do anything. It's like swimming, you know what I mean? So it's like that's what I want to teach about a little bit tonight. Anyway, when I teach somebody to cook who wants to really learn how to cook, you know, these are the things in your house that you look in your pantry and you'll be like, whoa, I have this. We can put this together. Then now you're cooking. It's really about that simple. So first thing I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to talk about the rice. I'm going to be making basmati rice. I really like basmati rice. It's an expensive rice and it's a long grain rice. And it's a rice that you see most commonly when you eat Indian food. So when you go to an Indian restaurant and they put the rice on the table, it's real fluffy and it's really white in color. And there are different grades of it. And with this rice, the first thing you need to do is wash it. So I'm going to go over to the sink. And if you're doing basmati rice, I'm doing 2 cups of basmati rice. So that means I have 2 cups of rice. So that means 5 cups of water, right? So that would be 1.5 times. So 2 times would be, 4 cups of water. So first thing I'm going to do is rinse the rice. And I'm rinsing the rice. And I'm going to rinse it in my sink. I know you all can't see me, but I rinse it a couple of times just to get some of the gluten, some of the starch that's on top of the rice off of it so it doesn't stick. Now, there are a lot of methods with every rice, by the way, is different. Excuse me, cooking method's different. Some people will say soak the basmati rice for a half hour and then rinse it, which works. I've done that before. Some people toast it first. If you use like a boreal rice, which is the rice they use for risotto, completely different cooking method. If you're using a long grain Carolina rice, different cooking method. So I'm going to rinse this one more time just to show you all what it should look like. Okay, so if you look, now the water is pretty, it's not completely clear, but it's clear enough that I got some of the, a lot of the starch. I rinsed it off. So basmati rice is one of those rices you can cook it all together. So that means I'm going to take my rice, put my rice into a pot, just dry. And then I'm going to put in the ratio of rice. So here we go. 2 cups of rice is going into the pot. And it's 1.5 times. So that would be how much? Well, it's 1.5 times. So there's my 2 cups of water and then 1 more cup. Okay. There's my ratio. All I'm going to do is turn it on to a boil. I'm going to keep it covered. Once it starts boiling, I'm going to turn it down. It's going to cook for about 10 minutes. And that is that with that rice. Okay. So your rice is, I got a little saying I like to tell people, we're not smarter than the boxes. So whatever it says on the box, follow that, because the box knows. The box knows more than us. So use it, whatever the box says for your rice. Rice is different. The starch content of rice is different. Now, let's say you want to cook lo mein. Cool, cook lo mein. Let's say you want to make lentils. All these things are your bases for your, whatever you like, Cook them, hold them separately. So, and another reason this has become so popular in the restaurant industry is because it's called, you're filling 80% of it is like rice or lo mein, and you're putting a little protein on top. It's all money. Do re mi for the restaurant people. Okay. So there goes the beginning of my rice cooking on the thing there. Any questions about rice or lo mein or anything before I jump into the rest of it? Excellent. That must be very informative. My information must be crystal clear. Good. Okay. So next, I'm going to move the 40 pounds of boba out of the way that Pam bought, and we will come back to those a little later. I'm going to probably open a yogurt store after I'm done. You got yours too, Mallory. Cool.
Thank you, Mallory. Oh, she's got 3.
You got 3, Mallory? Okay.
I ordered them 3 hours ago on Amazon, and somehow they arrived in 3 hours.
That's so sick. That's just sick. That's
Insane. But I had to buy basically enough to feed a small country.
Cool. Well, listen, you can use them in the bathtub. You can just eat them individual, whatever. Just
Your cocktail.
put them in your drinks, your cocktails, By Christmas, you'll have a lot of moves. You'll let us know, Mallory. By December, when you're done with them, I'll still have mine also. So that's the thing about Amazon. They're very clever. It comes to your house right away, but you need to buy like 30 pounds of it. So it's unbelievable that I just can't even start to begin. I needed semolina flour a couple of weeks ago. I was looking all over Florida for it. I couldn't find it. I come home. I'm like, Pam, I need semolina for the recipes tomorrow. She's like, click, click, click. It'll be here in an hour. I'm like, it's unfathomable to me. I can't even begin to tell you how crazy and scary it is. Okay, so we're going to make a vinaigrette. Vinaigrette is a heavy-duty ratio lined recipe, and the reason I didn't give you amounts on the first vinaigrette is because it's 3 parts oil to 1 part acid. Now, what's an acid? Well, the acid in this recipe is lemon juice. I don't happen to have lemon juice, but I have lime, so I'm going to use limes tonight because that's what I have. Okay, but that's my acid, so I know now. Gee, I could use that. It's that simple. And then it's going to be 1.5 parts of the green onion. So green onion, this is the green onion, also called, in my world, a scallion. Let me show you a little bit about a scallion. So the whole scallion is edible. The only part that's not is a little hairy part on the bottom. So just in the restaurant business, they call 86 it. Get rid of it. That's it. There it goes. And goodbye. The rest of it is edible. Now, if you have something like this, where you see this is like limp, what I do is I just get rid of it also, because that means it's dead. So when I tell a cook in one of my kitchens, clean a case of scallions, they will bring me the scallion bottom cut off and everything nice and stiff. And that's a clean scallion. So you should do the same thing at home. Now, we are going to put it into a food processor, but I'm going to give the food processor a hand before we get going, just called rough chopping, just so that we have, helps your food processor break it down a little bit easier. I'm going to give the rice a little twirl also, just to make sure it's not sticking on the bottom. And this is an easy rice because you could throw in the rice with the water immediately. Some rices you need the water to boil first. Just be aware, my friends, be aware. Okay, so in my vinaigrette, in my green onion vinaigrette, the scallions, 1.5 times that, and I'm going to get out my food processor now. Can you do this with a blender? 100%. But I'm going to use my food processor because for TV, it's a little bit less noisy. Okay, so first goes in your hard ingredient in the bottom that we really want to break it up. So in goes my onion. On top of my onion, I'm using two scallions here, and I'm going to use about a teaspoon of coriander. Coriander, by the way, what do we know coriander to be? Coriander is what? Also called something else. Cilantro. Coriander is dried cilantro. So I'm going to put my cilantro. I happen to have a little, yeah, oh, this is parsley. Good point. This is, Pam's like, what are you doing, you idiot? Yeah, because she likes cilantro. So she knows, yeah, parsley and cilantro look very similar. So, but I have a lot of herbs here for the weekend. So I'm going to put in a little cilantro in here, whole cilantro with my scallions, because I happen to have them. If you have a little cilantro, you could put a handful in there, but you don't have to. My coriander is in there. I have a little extra cilantro. I'm going to put it in there. Some salt, some pepper. I'm going to put in a pinch, nice pinch, big pinch of salt. Okay. My pepper I don't have here. I looked for it before, couldn't find it. I'll have to add it after. Now I'm going to give it a pulse. Now, what happens is it starts climbing up the sides. So when it climbs up the sides, you want to push it down, which is an easy thing to do. You know, like a little spatula, push it back to your blade. Now, I also don't need it completely and totally macerated. Actually, personally, I like when there are pieces of it in there because it looks homemade that way, and it is homemade. So I'm not worried if there are some pieces in there. Now, if you want a little tiny bit of heat in here, if you want it, I'm only going to put a touch because Pam doesn't like things with a lot of hotness. I'm going to put a tiny bit of a pepper I have, just a little piece of a hot pepper, just to add a little zest to the whole thing. But you don't have to do it. Just a little piece, if you want. Okay, so that's going. Now, the next step in this particular dressing is going to be my lemon juice. And I'm going to use lime. And like I said, it's going to be, the ratio is going to be 3 parts to 1 part. So there's going to be a lot less in here. 3 parts to 1 part what? Well, that's going to be your oil to your vinegar. Okay. Okay. Now, what's going on here? This is what we learned. I have 2 limes here that are like petrified. I don't understand why. They're like weaponized. I can't use them. And I don't have enough acid yet in here. So what am I going to do? Am I going to panic and freak out? No, I'm going to add a different kind of acid because I don't have enough. What am I going to use? I'm going to use rice vinegar. Vinegar is another kind of acid because I want to put a little vinegar in there. I didn't have enough. So there goes my acid. So I'm doing 3 parts to 1 part. Okay, it goes in there.
Measurement.
Yes. Okay, so it depends how much you're making, but if you're going to make, let's say you're going to put 1 cup of olive oil in here, 1 cup of oil, then you're putting in a 1/4 cup of vinegar. Okay. Now, always, whenever I make a vinaigrette, there's usually something sweet in there. And in this particular recipe, I would put in about 1.5 tablespoons of honey. Could you use sugar? Yeah, but honey's good because it dissipates very easily into the recipe. So that'll be about a little bit, 1.5 to 2 cups of honey. I really like the sweetness, is important to me. Okay. Now I'm going to give it another little zest. Okay. I'm going to give my rice a little stir so we know it's not sticking. There it goes. Okay, so in here right now, we have our 1/4 cup of liquid acid. We have our cilantro. I put in a little piece. We have our, what was the other herb I put in there? The green onions. Okay, I put in some coriander. I put in the honey, the salt, and black pepper, which I didn't have, but I want you to have. So you have a loose, and I'm going to show you what it looks like. It's just like a loose looking thing on the bottom. Now, we are going to be doing something called developing a suspension. So have you ever seen a dressing? When you buy a dressing like if you were to buy this dressing from like Kraft and you look in the thing, you'd see that it's all suspended evenly in the liquid. It's not separated. Like if you've ever gone to a restaurant and they're giving you a fresh dressing and the herbs and everything are sitting on the bottom, because that's not a suspension. We're going to be making a suspension. And what that means is all of this is going to be suspended together because of the speed. This is a centrifuge. It's going to go really fast. And we're going to slowly drip in the oil, slowly. And once you drip again the whole cup of the oil into here, it's going to be solidified. It's going to look very different. Now, hold on a second. I don't want anybody just to dump it in there, okay? You want to slowly drizzle it in, because if you don't slowly drizzle it in, it's not going to work, okay? So if you have a squeeze bottle, that's a great thing to put it in, but you want it to go in at a very slow rate. And I'm going to show you how slow a rate, okay? I'm not even going to turn this on, and I just want you to see, this is how slow it's going to go in. see how slow that was? It's just really slow. You want to go really slow. You turn on the thing and you go really slow. Because if you throw it all in at once, it's not going to be good. Now, here's the other thing. Unless you're using olive oil from like your family has olive groves in Salerno and they fly it over here on the Concorde, you probably have crappy olive oil, okay? And that means when you taste your crappy olive oil, it's going to be bitter, okay? When you went into your supermarket and bought olive oil, you probably bought the $7 olive oil. If you would have bought the $85 olive oil, I would say do it straight in here. But olive oil is like wine, and there's all different levels of it. So if you're making a dressing like this, you're better off using 80% vegetable oil, 20% olive oil, because if it's all olive oil, it's going to have a bitterness. So if this recipe calls for 1 cup of oil, use 3/4 of it as vegetable oil and 1/4 of it as olive oil. Can you just use straight up olive oil? Yes, you can. But that's just my little restaurant trick so that you have olive oil in there, but it's not all olive oil, because all olive oil usually is too assertive for a dressing. So take my advice, do it that way. Now, a really good olive oil, like when you like spend money and buy like an awesome olive oil, it's like a finishing oil. You usually don't make dressing, you just make your and you just drizzle it on top like really, really good olive oil. So olive oil is like, if you ever go to one of those stores where they do like olive oil tastings, the quality of the olive oil is not what the flavors they add to it. It's the quality of the oil itself. And it's not like how much balsamic flavor they could squeeze into the thing. It's the flavor of the grape, it's the oil olive itself. So anyway, now we're going to drip in and we're going to go slowly, slowly. And here we go. About 1 cup. Just a slow drizzle. If you go too fast, it won't work. And what will happen is you will actually hear the sound change inside of your thing. Mr. Boardman, I could see that yours it'll get like thicker. It'll literally get thicker. So keep going. I could hear it starting to change. I could hear the viscosity of the whole thing change. But I'm going to keep going because, and by the way, once you do this, the suspension will last for weeks. It will never separate. Okay, there it is. I'm going to show you what it looks like. First, I'm going to give my thing a little stir, one more little stir. Okay. My rice is starting to happen. I'll turn my rice down to a medium now. Okay, and show you what this looks like. Okay, so look. You see how it's holding the shape on the plate? It's not running, okay? That means I've developed an emulsion, okay? And it's staying on my plate, it's thick. Can you see? And if you don't have that thickness, continue drizzling. Can you see how thick it is, how it's not running? It's actually, it's not mayonnaise, okay? And it will move off the spoon, but some of it will stay. There's actually a French name for this. It's called, see what's staying on my thing? It's called nappe. There's an expensive chef word for you. But that's what you're essentially doing. So slowly drizzle it if you don't get that nappe look. And then there's that. Now, here's the next trick. Vinaigrettes. Vinaigrettes are like one of the first things you learn in culinary school because they're so important because they teach the ratio, like I said, but the other thing they teach you is they teach you to learn how to taste. So get yourself a little spoon, okay? And what we're going to do is we're going to taste it together. Now, when you taste it, you want to taste a couple of different things, okay? You're looking to taste the acid. You're looking to taste everything should, when you make any kind of dish that's really successful, everything is broken. You should be able to taste each individual part of it. So when I taste this, I should be able to take the acid. I should be able to taste the sweetness from the honey. I should be able to taste the green onion. I should be able to taste the salt, and I should have a little oil. So let's see what we got. It's perfect. It's a little sweet, and I could put in a little more acid. Now, if you put in a little bit more of anything into this, it will still hold its shape, okay? And that's important. Like I can put in another tablespoon. I'm going to put in a little more acid because I know my customer, which is my wife, she likes the vinegar. So I'm going to put in a little more vinegar because I know she likes it. And then I'm going to zest it one more time. And I'm going to taste it one more time. I'll use the back of my spoon. So you get two tastes. You get the front and you get the back. That tastes really good. Okay, so we'll give it to the boss. Let her taste it.
Oh my God.
She's like, oh my God, that tastes so good. Okay,
Oh
good.
my God, it's
See?
good.
Now, if this doesn't taste to you like an awesome dressing, like, I don't know what else to tell you, you know?
That's good.
So now, can you taste? You could taste the difference. You taste it. Taste the scallion in it. Taste the sweetness. Maybe you need a little more pepper. And here's the thing that you can do. Let's say you like a little spicy. Put in some spicy. It's yours. Nobody else is eating it. You do custom designing it. It's like a custom designed suit. You know what I mean? You get to do it. And vinaigrettes are great things to fool around with and really learn, you know, learn. So, and by the way, this vinaigrette, yeah, is really good. And like I told you, it will last for a long time. And like, we're going to do this, we're going to continue with these copycat classes. And I do classes all the time. The trick is, what a great Christmas gift it is for someone. You know, I have these little jars, okay, because this will keep itself, this will keep as an emulsion, okay? This will not separate now, okay? Am I getting too like heady and chefy for you guys? Because I'm usually not like this, okay? I'm usually like, try to be the fun guy that's dancing around with my ears, but I want you to learn, you know, is it cool? Everybody okay? All right.
I think this is really great. What I think is amazing is that, I don't know about everybody else, but certainly in mine, it's probably not as thick as it probably could be. I may have poured a little bit too fast, but I can still taste every layer or ingredient that we put into it. And I find that to be absolutely amazing. It just blows my mind. And it tastes so good. We were just talking like, oh, we might make this again for like a salad or something like that, just to drizzle over, you know, maybe like a chicken salad or something.
100%. That's 100%. And that's what's cool about this, you know, and let's say, you know, and I'm really glad, and let's say you just wanted to do dill. Like I have a bunch of dill here and you just want to do a dill dressing. It's exactly the same thing. Just use dill instead of scallions. So it's,
Versatile.
yeah, it's like the whole idea is so versatile. Anyway, these are great little things, you know. You know, we made pickles in my classes. We made some corned beef. I mean, you could make somebody a beautifully homemade basket that would have a very expensive value, I think, like for a holiday. It's really nice. You make 10 times the amount. So I think this is great. Okay, so would you please, thank you. Okay, so this is called a vinaigrette. The next dressing we're going to make is a creamy dressing, which is different than a vinaigrette. Now, straighten up your area a little bit, but once again, it's all about ratio. It's about the amount. So now this is going to be an herb vinaigrette, okay? And we're going to put a lot of herbs in here. And, you know, a good recipe, the same thing will happen. You'll be able to taste, thank you. You should be able to taste all the ingredients. All right. By the way, thank you. I normally make vinaigrettes in a blender because like I said, it's a centrifuge and it's moving around real quick. And it's just water, Pam. It's okay. It makes that emulsion work even better, but it's really noisy on TV. So if I did it, you wouldn't be able to hear me talk. So I'm not going to do it. Okay. So anyway, here we go. Step 2, vinaigrette. Now
Not really good.
we're making a creamy herb dressing. Okay, these, by the way, are just salad dressings, okay? So whatever they say, they're saying whatever they're saying, this is a salad dressing. Okay, so we are going to use the top of the dill. Now, generally, let's say I was making a dill sauce. I would use the top of the dill at the end of the sauce because you never want to cook an herb, but the stem has just as much flavor as the top of it. I would put that in the sauce and strain it out. So when they're saying a bunch is a terrible measurement because what's a bunch? A bunch isn't a measurement. A bunch of this, a bunch of that, that's not a real measurement. So I'm going to give you an actual measurement here for this in a second. Anyway, that's my dill. Next is my flat leaf parsley. Excuse me. Flat leaf parsley is the same. There's two kinds of parsley. There's curly parsley and flat leaf parsley, also called Italian parsley. And it's literally, the leaf is flat. And the curly parsley is different. My grandmother used to grow curly parsley and it has a different flavor and it's noticeably different. So when they say flat leaf parsley, they also call Italian parsley. Use that. Okay, so there's my parsley. Maybe we'll get a little more. By the way, all this has been washed, which you should do the same thing to yours. Here comes my cilantro. There goes my cilantro. Same thing, the cilantro stems have a lot of flavor in them, but they're not, you know. You could use them in a dressing if you were straining the dressing, but we're not going to strain the dressing. We're going to use this dressing straight up. Okay, so there's all of that. Okay, so here we have my dill. I have my parsley, my chives. They asked for chives. I'm not going to use a chive. I'm going to use a scallion. I mean, Unless you're Wolfgang Puck, you're not gonna know the difference. Maybe good, maybe, you know, Gordon Ramsay. Guy Fieri, he definitely wouldn't know the difference. But Guy Fieri, you know, don't get me started with Guy Fieri. Okay, so all these herbs are going into the base of my food processor. Okay.
So timing.
Okay, I don't have any time, so I'm not putting it in, okay? But if you have time, make sure you pick the time. So here's gonna be a time stem. Pick off the time. Do not put in the brown stem, okay? Throw it in there. Dry time also is good if you have that. Okay, so all my vegetables are going in there. Now I'm gonna put on top of this a good pinch of salt, right on top of my, and that's gonna add as like almost like a coarseness when it's getting brown, okay? Now I'm gonna give it a real zest. Start and stop. Okay, I could smell the herbs. They're hitting you right in the face, which is really nice. I'm gonna give my rice a little stir from the bottom here. Ah, there it goes. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm gonna turn it down to low, and I'm just gonna leave it alone. Actually, I'm gonna shut mine off. Okay, so scraping down the sides. Take your time, man. What are you rushing? Okay. Cider vinegar, 2 tablespoons. I'm using rice vinegar tonight because I don't have cider vinegar. Rice vinegar is a great vinegar. It's a sweeter vinegar. Cider vinegar, rice vinegar, very similar. So you can use either one. All right. Hot sauce of your choice, whatever you want. You put in a little zest, 3/4 of a teaspoon of hot sauce. Give it a little bit. Let's see, black pepper, like I said, I don't know where that is. 1/2 cup of buttermilk now, and mayonnaise. But first, before I put in my mayonnaise, I'm gonna put in my buttermilk. Why? Because it's a little bit looser and it's gonna mix the other stuff better. My suggestion is don't pour things in like this, measure them first. I've been doing this a real long time, so I like take some liberties, but my suggestion is use a measuring cup. Okay, there it all is, very nice. And now goes in my mayonnaise. And 3/4 of a cup of mayonnaise. And now I'm gonna make it. Now, for any reason I don't think it's thick enough, I need to add another ingredient, I will. That looks pretty perfect to me. So
So the oil always goes last, right?
oil always goes last. Right. Very fresh taste to it. Now, okay, I just want to make sure that this particular dressing does not have oil in it, okay?
Right.
It does have oil in it because mayonnaise is 3/4 oil, okay? But an important thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little sweetness to this because to me, that's what it's missing. It's missing its sweet edge. So when I tasted it, I taste the herbs, taste the mayonnaise, but I didn't taste like any kind of real sweetness, and that's going to make a difference. And what you're going to notice is like if you add something, a sweetness to something, it's gonna pull out the other stuff. And let's see what we got going on. Yeah, nice. Now, again, it's kind of nappe. It's not as thick as the other one. I could, if I wanted to, put in more mayo, but Pam and I would rather not have that. It's really good. I can taste all my herbs. I happen to like dill, so I'm going to put in a little more dill. That's my preference. Yeah, and Pam likes dill, so maybe next time I make this, I'll make it with, I'll get rid of the parsley and just put in the dill. Shazam, that's it. And there we have it. Show you what this looks like. This time I'll take the blade out first. Yeah, and there it is. Now could you make it thicker? Yeah, you can. But I personally, I like this is going to mix better in this dish. I don't need it to be as gloppy. If I like it a little thicker, I'll just add some more mayonnaise. I've been doing these cooking classes for like 6 months, and like the best thing that I've learned is that I really, really want to teach people is that, learning how to be a little flexible is, that's how you really learn how to cook. All right. So there are your dressings. Now I'm going to teach you how to make a very, very quick coleslaw. Now this slaw that we're making is going to be special for this because we're not adding any of the liquid to the slaw. We're just making a slaw that is a very small amount. Well, it has a small amount of that stuff because we're looking to have the other flavors really, these dressings on top really like kick out the flavor more than the other things. But slaws are really easy to make. So now I personally like to make slaws with Napa cabbage because Napa to me has it's like better flavor. It has a little bit more of a softer texture, but always take the top leaves off if they're dead. See how dead that is? It's like limp. Okay, get rid of it. For tonight, I'm just going to kind of I'm going to cut it in half. I think will be the easiest way to do it. Or even, let's see, what would be the really easy? I'm gonna take a quarter piece off the side. Okay. Box. This is not Napa. Okay, I wasn't able to get Napa. This is regular slaw. Okay. We suggested you get Napa, but if you can't get Napa, we'll get this. Okay. So this is a box grater. You could use it, fit it into your food processor, or just your box grater. And this is where it is on my box grater, really thin. Now, some people would rather have a little bit of a thicker slice. See, some people mix it, but the first one was good for me. So this is going to be a cup of grated cabbage. That same cup of cabbage, I'll put it here so you all can see. Then we're gonna do the same thing with carrots. Somebody was showing me you could go this way too. Makes more sense. But I'm just this, I've been doing my whole life, so sorry, I can't stop. Yeah, TikTok translate. Also, here's another little thing. I wash my carrots. I usually don't peel them. Baby carrots, I never peel. Older carrots, sometimes I peel, but in a circumstance like this, not necessary for me. Okay. There that is, that. Okay. Now, I'm not looking to make any kind of emulsion here, so I can mix directly in with my cabbage here, okay? So I'm gonna put in some salt and pepper to taste. It'll be a big pinch of salt. Pam, I think, is looking for the pepper. Awesome, Pam, found my pepper. By the way, these are readily available supermarket product where you're grinding a pepper as it's going along. To me, crisp on pepper is really different than pepper that's already pre-ground. You know, maybe it's another 50 cents to buy one that has the grinding attachment on it. Do it. Okay, salt and pepper. That's this. My board is clean. Okay, that's this. Okay, here goes my vinegar. This vinegar is 3 tablespoons of white vinegar. See, white vinegar, it's white. There are different colors. And my oil. 3 tablespoons of oil. Your ratio is different here. It's even. So your ratio here would be 1 to 1, even ratio. So, excuse me. So when you write down, your ratios for things, because let's say you wanted to make a larger amount than 1 cup, you wanted 2 cups. So you know your ratio of oil is 1 to 1 with your ratio of acid. That's it. That's my whole shebang. Now, I would add to this a pinch of sugar because I like the sweetness again. But if you're a Spanish cook and you've had a million times in your life, when you eat like a real taco or a pupusa, this is a Spanish style slaw. And it's meant to be a little bit vinegary. And it's really to add texture to what you're eating. So it adds a crunch. Texture is a really important thing. And these bowls, just a little, I'm going to put like a half a teaspoon of sugar. These things, yeah. The texture is super duper important when it comes to any kind of salad. Okay, so there it is, simple as that. We did it, okay? Okay, so we have 1 dressing, 2 dressings. We have our coleslaw. We have our rice. Last thing we need is our protein. So let's talk about our protein. Your protein is completely and totally up to you, okay? The world that we live in, people are using tempeh a lot, people using all different kind of proteins, and sometimes, you know, you can make 2 proteins. You know, I think, Josh, you're making shrimp tonight, right? Okay, is that right? Okay. Okay, so let's talk about this marinade for a second, okay? This was a generalized marinade that I gave you guys. And the idea of a marinade is it's going to penetrate the protein so that when you eat it, it has obviously more flavor. But if you notice, I gave you different times. So I'm doing chicken tonight. So mine has been in my refrigerator about 4 or 5 hours. Meat takes a little longer because it's more dense. So that was an overnight marinade. Shrimp, about 3 hours. Tofu, 3-4 hours. Shrimp is one of those items you don't want to over marinate. Like if you do shrimp overnight because you're like, oh, it would taste better, it will turn to rubber. You don't want to do that. Same with, so you don't want to over marinate anything either. Now, most marinades, this marinade has some vinegar, it has some oil, seasoning. It's all mixed in there. So when you cook the item, you shouldn't have to add anything to it. Now, I marinated my chicken, which I'm using thigh meat. I marinated in 4 pieces. And the reason I did that was because tomorrow I plan to throw some of it on the barbecue. So I did it whole. But my suggestion is pieces. Now, if you cut it up beforehand, but I'm just going to cut a little up just to show you so we could do something together. Okay, so my marinade has really penetrated, I could tell, and I'm going to cut it into eatable pieces, bite-sized pieces. And I'm going to try to do it so they're the same size, so they all cook evenly. Okay. And I just want to make one portion so that you guys, we can take a picture of it and you all can see. And essentially in prep like this, like one big thigh, it's going to be all I'm going to really need. Okay, so let me get my oil started. I'm going to use this cool pan. Hey, Pam, you want to tell me a couple things that's going to be upcoming classes that we have for, just you have some upcoming classes? You tell me, you can give me your phone and I'll read them. Pam's going to look up some upcoming classes. Jock, do you remember any on the top of your head?
Yeah, some upcoming classes, something I think that's coming up in the next couple weeks. I'm really looking forward to the Hallelujah Biscuit from Chef Art Smith. This is a fantastic sandwich that you can get for brunch. And to go along with that, we're going to be doing a Bloody Mary, and it's going to be on the spicier side, and it's going to taste fantastic. That's certainly, I think within the next couple of weeks, something I'm looking forward to, and I cannot wait to make that one.
Yeah. So get your flame hot, get your pan hot, and that will be the start of the cooking whatever you're doing. So my chicken, I'm going to put a little salt on it, a little pepper, and then that's going to be it because it's been marinating in those items. And I'm going to get crispy, and I'm going to do almost like a stir fry. Now this works for all of these. Tonight I suggested belugi, which is like a very thin meat. That's a cool thing. Shrimp, tofu, all of it, same thing, high heat. Oil, of your choice, something that's not going to have a high burn rate, like not an olive oil, like a vegetable oil. And that's it. And you're at the right temperature in a stir fry when you hear this. Hear that? There it is. So I'm going to give it about 2 minutes, and I'm going to build my protein bowl. Take a nice big fat bowl like I have here. Step number 1 will be my protein Bottom, I'm gonna have my rice first. I'm gonna write nice serving on the bottom, really a nice, I'm gonna do a good amount. And you can see like each individual grain of rice is separated. That means that's how you know you cook the rice properly. Okay. Now I got a good char on top of my chicken, and you know, there are sugars in there, so it might start to burn. So what I could do, and I'm going to do, is once I get my nice color on my chicken, I'm going to put in a little bit of water. But watch out, because oil and water don't mix. So I'm kind of steaming it and cooking it at the same time. That'll just take a minute. That way I know my chicken is going to be cooked. It works with rice. It works with shrimp as well. Okay, so I have my rice on the bottom. So the next thing I'm going to do in this particular case is we have only a couple of other things that go on this. So the other things is going to be my chicken is going to go on top of it. And I have my dressing, and just want to make sure my chicken's cooked. And my little secret to make sure chicken is cooked is you pull out the biggest piece. So here's my biggest piece. I'll take my biggest piece and I'll cut it in half. And I'll look and see. Now, I could tell it's a little pink. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes. Because if the biggest piece is cooked, then you're going to know the smallest piece is cooked. And that's why you cut everything evenly, so that way it all cooked at the same time. Any questions?
Yeah, Adam, how do you store your fresh herbs?
Well, okay, so I clean them. I get ice water. I take ice water, I put them into something vertical, and then I put the herbs right into the ice water, and I store them just like that in the refrigerator. Then tomorrow, I'll pick them, I'll throw away the dead ones, and I'll change the water, and I'll put them back.
Okay.
And this is good, okay, but this is better because it's deeper, okay? But what you do, you really don't want, like, I like just the bottom, kind of the same way you would do a flower arrangement. That's a good way to store herbs. Okay. So, okay. My chicken, I got a nice sear on it because it was the marinade, you know, gets brown, nice and brown in the pan. And I really like cast iron for that because you get a little charred. And for this particular dish, I think the charredness is important because, again, it's a textural thing. So you're going to get, you know, so there it is. So there's your protein right on top. Then I'm going to put on top of my protein, I'm going to put a little coleslaw right in the middle. And just a little trick when you're plating things. The trick to plating something is, I'll show you this, is that you want to be able to see every component of the dish. So if you look at my dish so far, you can see the rice, you can see the chicken, you can see the slaw. And that adds just a visual thing. And you want to know what? Even if you're just cooking for your family, it makes a difference. Now, what about serving dressing on top of your thing? Now, if I'm in a really fancy restaurant, I will generally dress my salads because I have a lot of control over when the people are going to eat, meaning that I know if the food's coming to the table, in theory, you're going to eat it the minute I put it down. So I could dress it the way I want to. But in a situation where you got to shut off the TV, you got to do this, A, B, and C, and D, you might want to serve it separately. So I have these nice little cups. So I'm going to serve my dressing in a little cup separately. And if I can, I might serve it right in my bowl like this. Okay, so there's that. Next part here is, so this is an herb vinaigrette. So I have no problem taking a couple of my herbs, ripping them up, the same herbs that are in the dish, and I might put them right on top so you could see the breakdown of the fresh herbs in the dressing on top of the salad like this. And then my last thing, well, I'm going to use 10 or 15 pounds of boba because Pam bought them. And, you know, it's funny, maybe 6 years ago, Pam bought me a book. Believe it or not, the book set was $700. And it was all about molecular gastronomy. And a number of years ago, you know, I made these myself before they ended up in your yogurt stores. They were something that you were eating in super duper fancy restaurants called reverse spherification. But now they're readily available. And I love them because they do add something. They add a pop of flavor, they add some color, and they add some sweetness, and they even add a little texture. But I was just kidding. I'm not going to kill my dish with it. I'm going to put a little bit around as kind of a surprise. Pam bought two flavors. She bought passion and passion fruit and mango. So, and they smell nice. And there it is. There is a really nice looking protein bowl that anybody would be happy to eat. And ta-da. So any questions about any of this? Yeah, okay. Well, thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, you could always email. And please, anybody have one made? Anybody want to show me one? If you don't, post it on Adam's Cooking Jam. There's Josh's. Yeah, cool. There it is. There's, hey, nice. Hey, that looks nice, Bobby. Bobby's team, nice, nice. Ashley got, oh, look at that, cool, cool, very nice, Ashley. I always see like when the Levines, where's yours? You're gonna, is it working? It's working? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, we're working.
Yeah, it's working, great. Okay, meat is still cooking. Yeah, I'm not gonna push, that's fine. So anyway, if you enjoy these classes, we do them every Saturday night, 7:30. We're gonna continue them because they're really fun. And if you want some,
Who is it, Taylor?
Yeah. So that middle one should. Oh.
cool, okay.
Is it good?
She's like,
She's
yeah.
ready.
She's like, yeah, oh yeah. So anyway, Saturday nights, we have class every Saturday night. And I have a lot of other classes. If you want to go to Adam's Cooking Jam, this weekend we're making bagels. If you want to learn how to make bagels on Sunday night, we are making Thai food on Sunday, a separate class. So we make a lot of different stuff. So, you know, you'll get the emails. This week we're running a special. Next week, 2 classes for the price of 1. So anyway, love and light. Hope everybody learned something. Any questions, you could email me. Josh, thank you so much for cooking with us. Anything to add at the end of this?
You know, thank you so much, Adam, for taking the time to show us how to make a phenomenal dish. I'm already planning on how I'm going to start using the vinaigrette for other things.
Heck yeah.
Because
Awesome.
it's phenomenal.
It is.
And
Right.
yeah, I encourage everybody. I mean, if you are seriously interested in learning something new, I mean, yeah, it's great to be able to make some of these dishes from the Disney parks at home. But it's also really nice to learn some different, you know, type of cooking techniques. I mean,
Yeah.
like I already said, this vinaigrette that we made tonight is something that we can use for so many other things, and we don't need to just have it for this dish. So thank you again. And yeah, that's it. I don't have anything else to add.
Cool, guys. Thank you. Okay, well, we'll see you next week. Thanks again. Any questions, you could always email me and we try to answer them as quick as we can, all right? Okay, good night, everybody. Happy Saturday. Love you.
Bye, guys.
Good night. Thank you. Thank you, Josh. Thank